In this video, I will be talking about the relative age effect and how it affects players' performance. The meaning of the relative age effect is that it refers to the advantage of being early after a cut-off date in an annual group. According to Musk and Grondin 2001, an earlier birth is typically associated with increased physical ability. This was also shown in a recent study from McCone et al. 2017, where more mature football players were faster than their so-called less mature peers due to a biological advantage, such as being less physically developed. So it appears that the relative age effect puts you at a disadvantage. To measure the relative age effect, the birth date is split up into 4 quarters. In England, quartile 1 athletes are born in September to November. Quartile 2 is between December and February. Quartile 3 between March and May, and if you were born in the months between June and August, you will be in quartile 4. Consequently, due to quartile 1 athletes being nearly 1 year older than quartile 4, they receive more attention from academies, better training facilities and more training time compared with their peers, according to Helson et al. 2005. Shearer et al. 2007 supports this explanation of quartile 1, as he says junior elite athletes are higher, heavier and stronger than their peers. This becomes more evident during the timing of peak height velocity and peak weight velocity in males and females, where skeletal and biological adaptation allows the individual to reach maturity sooner, where enhanced morphology increases the likelihood of selection, in which Cobbler and Till 2017 say, "This has recently been shown in a local community rugby team, where those who were born in the earlier quartiles were still participating in the sport for the typical onset of maturation, compared to those born in the later quartiles." This graph demonstrates that whilst participation numbers remain balanced prior to the onset of maturation, there is also a sudden dropout rate in younger athletes, those born in quartiles 3 and 4, and once the onset of maturation is reached at around 13 years of age. However, this isn't always the case, because top elite athletes have made it professional from being born in quartile 4. For example, Lionel Messi was born in June, and Thierry Henry was born in August, and Ford and Williams support this as they found that the most award-winning athletes and the most valuable players in team sports are most likely to be born in late in the selection year. Lionel Messi has led Barcelona to 3 Champions Leagues and has 6 Ballon d'Ors to his name, and Thierry Henry helped his national side to win a World Cup and the Premier Leagues with Arsenal. This is backed up by McCarthy 2016 because there is an inevitable bias towards picking the bigger, stronger and faster individual. McCarthy research shows that the least mature players in junior representative squads are most likely to transition into senior national squads. This is because once all the players have reached maturity, the skill set that allowed the late developers to survive, playing against bigger and stronger opponents, allows them to thrive at the highest levels as this becomes a skill. This is where biobanding comes into place, as it matches athletes on physical attributes and maturity rather than chronological age. For example, putting an under-12 player into the under-13s. The reason behind biobanding is to create an environment where both early and late maturing athletes can thrive and maximise their development, as they'll be put up against similar abilities. As a critical part of youth development, biobanding addresses the importance of the learning development. It has been shown how factors such as social, psychological and physical development are fundamental to the development overall to children and adolescents. In 2015, Southampton hosted a tournament with players grouped by biobanding, involving teams from Norwich, Stoke and Reading, and it was a success. Feedback from players participating in the tournament said they had more time on the ball and were less likely to be muscled off, and another player said the team cohesion felt better and not one player dominated the game. However, there are issues surrounding biobanding, as it places athletes into groups based on physical characteristics, but doesn't take into consideration the psychological and technical skills of the athletes. For example, an early maturing athlete may be discouraged from participating in competition with older players if they lack the technical skills or the maturity to handle the challenge. As the athlete is discouraged from participating, this will consequently impact on their development and could result in them not maximising their potential.